right. Welcome to my world. Won't you come on in? Have you had enough candy? It's important. Welcome to Secrets of Energy Hypnosis. My name is David Snyder. And today we're going to take a little journey together. We're going to begin to explore the synthesis of what a lot of us in our profession, in our community, openly embrace, but often have trouble integrating. A little bit about myself real quick, because it's all about me. I've been doing hypnosis since about the age of 15, doing energetics almost as long. I have an 8th degree black belt in an art called Ryukyu Kempo, which is an art that specifically deals with manipulating and managing the acupuncture points and meridians of the human body. In other words, I'm trained to do things energetically to a body that doesn't want me to. Okay? I'm also a licensed acupuncturist in the state of California. I run a clinic in Solana Beach where my specialty is treating physiological illness that has as its roots repressed emotion. Okay? Which is pretty much everything, yeah. As a licensed acupuncturist, I spend $100,000 to learn all kinds of cool things about the body that I never use. Why? Because I can treat most everything faster, easier, and permanently using the technologies I'm going to share with you today. Okay? Now that being said, I don't get the usual clients. I work almost exclusively off, up until recently anyway, almost exclusively off medical referral. The people I get are in chronic pain, they have terminal illness, they have I do a lot of trauma work as well. But I have a 100% success rate with weight loss, but I get one a year. So, take that for what it's worth. I have never had, ironically, a smoking patient. But I do get lots of people who don't want to get fixed. Get that a lot, huh? How many people were in my instant conversational hypnosis workshop last night? Or yesterday morning, rather, right? In that workshop, I gave out a process that I almost never give out in a public training. It's called the autonomizer formula. And it's basically designed to take anybody who doesn't want something and have them generate their own personal reason for wanting to do it, and then making them fight to do it. So you literally get them resisting you in the direction of change. Okay? And I know a lot of the people in the room that day were actually, seeing clients, and we're doing a lot of smoking patients, and we all know what those kind of people are like, right? They're there for every reason other than their own. Right? So, a little bit more about me. I've been running meetups and practice groups in hypnosis and NLP pretty much since 2003 or 2004, where I met this kid named Scott Salem and this weird guy named Richard Clark. And then this guy, Richard Rumble, started showing up on the same day I held my first get-together with the Los Angeles Sleepwalkers. And there was this evil cabal was launched, known as the Sleepwalkers. And it's a very, very interesting journey over the last 12 years, because what began 12 years ago in Los Angeles is now something that embraces all of you. And even though they're not here and they may never see this video, I just want everybody to give a huge, huge round of applause to Richard Clark and Scott Salem for achieving a hypnosis miracle. They have truly, truly taken a vision and expanded it beyond what we even thought we could do back then. And they deserve a tremendous amount of credit for it. That being said, let's jump into today's topic. Okay? The first thing we need to talk about is, what the hell is energy? By the way, I thrive on dialogue. They've only given me an hour today, which was a big mistake because this is a huge topic. I am going to teach you one technique. I'm going to demonstrate it several times first, and then I'm going to teach you and let you practice it on each other. I will try to keep as much the explanations to a minimum at first, and I will tell you why. Many of us operate under the belief that we have to fully understand all the in and outs of something before we can actually do it. The 2-minute technique I'm going to show you I could spend 2 days unpacking all the things that are going on in that 2 minutes, linguistically, energetically, neurologically, and we would never get anything done. I would much rather you come out of here with a solid technique that you can pretty much throw at anything that walks into your office and nuke it within about 7 minutes, if you're slow. And that being said, I'm still waiting for confirmation on this. I recently did a Skype session utilizing the technique that I'm about to teach you. And in the space of 5 minutes, everybody here knows what a SUD scale is, right? Okay. I had a gentleman who was suffering from cancer. It had pretty much spread to all kinds of weird places in his body, which is actually, we're starting to get more and more of that, and people are amazed at what we're doing. But in a nutshell, basically, I had him rate the size on a scale of 0 to 10, how bad that pain was and where the tumor was. And he gave me an 8. And he actually he was feeling the mass in his scapula. And I did this technique on him. And I said, well, how is it now? He goes, 6. He did it again. And he's starting to get a weird look on his face. 4. And he's starting to get nervous. I had a feeling I knew why, but we did it one more time, dropped down to a 2, and he's literally looking for the tumor in his scapula. Okay? And he got visibly agitated when we got to a 2. So we left it there for now. All right? But I have done this technique, if you target it right, can be a tumor killer. I've seen it reverse 25-year-long cases of constipation. I've seen it reverse herpes outbreaks, low back, any kind of pain, physical or emotional, and as long as there's no recurring biomechanical issue, like if they're walking weird because they have an imbalance that agitates somewhere else. But even then, this stuff goes away, it doesn't come back. Okay? So does anybody here have an ouchie? What do you got? Come on up.
I pulled my calf a little bit the other day, and yesterday actually.
Is it okay to get rid of it?
I'd love to get rid of it.
Are you sure?
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't lie to me, would you?
Not in the world.
All right. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to point to where you feel the pain. Cool. Now here's what I want you to do. Close your inner eyes. Close your eyes. Look at it with your inner eyes. On a scale of 0 to 10, rate the pain. First impression.
About a 4 at this point.
About a 4. Now, as you look at that sensation with your inner eyes, I want you to notice there's a color connected to it. What's the color, first impression?
The brown.
Brown. Reach in, grab all that brown energy, take it out and hold it in your hands. Make sure you get it all, because sometimes that shit hides. Shit being a technical term. Make sure you get it all. There you go. Good. Is it all in your hands? All in your hands? Okay, did the color change or stay the same, first impression?
Kind of brown or red now.
Excellent. Now, as you look at it, I want you to notice it's spinning in a certain direction. What direction is it spinning?
Counterclockwise.
Grab it with both of your hands. Physically grab it with both of your hands. Reorient it in space so it's spinning the opposite of what it was. It's now the opposite of what it was. Double the spin. Double the amplitude. Double it again. Keep doubling it until it takes on a life of its own, until it's impossible for it to go back the way it was. When you know you've got it, slam it back into that spot. Notice the change. Notice it's gone. Let the feelings come up, whatever they are. That's it.
Sweet. Feels good for the moment. You know, this.
Now try to bring it back.
I don't really want to bring it back.
I know. But most of the time they can't.
I'm walking easier now than I have all morning. And you know what's really funny about this? The reason I'm at this workshop is I saw you do this on YouTube. And my wife was having a knee problem, and I did this to her. It worked the very first time. She loves me now. Thank you.
Very welcome. Give me a big round of applause. Anybody else? Come on up. All right. What you got for me, sweetie? What's your name?
For Felicia.
Felicia, is there something physically wrong with the tooth?
Probably. Yeah. Can't take care of it now.
Okay, so you want to get rid of it for now?
Yes.
Okay. You will promise to get it looked at, though?
Yes.
It's okay to get rid of it, then?
Okay.
Okay. So point to where you feel the pain. Good. Now close your eyes. Look at it with your inner eyes. Scale of 0 to 10. Rate the feeling.
4.
Take it out. Grab all that red. Notice there's a color associated with that energy. What's the color?
Pink.
Grab it all. Take it out. Make sure you get it all, because sometimes that shit hides. Is it all in your hands? See, she's still digging it out. I told you. Now, as you look at that, did the color change or stay the same?
It's yellow.
Good. Notice it's moving in a certain direction. It's spinning in a certain direction. What direction?
Clockwise.
Physically grab it with your hands. Reorient it in space so it's the opposite of what it was. Now double the spin. Double the amplitude. Double it again. Keep doubling it over and over and over again until it takes on a life of its own. Until it's impossible for it to go back the way it was. When you know you've got it, slam it back into that spot. Notice the change. Notice it's gone. How you feeling?
It's better.
Scale of 0 to 10?
I feel like a 1.5.
Okay. Close your eyes. I'll stop it. Point to, is it the color the same or different?
It's the same.
Reach in, grab the rest of it. Take it out, hold it in your hands. See, you didn't get it all last time. That's what happened. Double the spin in the direction that makes it feel better. Double the spin. Double it again. Get into it. Keep doubling it. Double it over and over and over again till it takes on a life of its own, until it's impossible to go back the way it was. And when you know you've got it, put it back in. Notice the change. Let the feelings come up too. Because sometimes there's an emotional component that we try to repress. That's what keeps it locked in. Notice it's gone. Scale 0 to 10?
Feels good.
Give a big round of applause. Come on up.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, sir.
Does this work on anxiety?
Yes. What you got?
Possibly a screwed up disc.
A screwed up disc.
And
This
that-
is, again, where we come into that area. Just because we can fix something, should we? Right? Is it okay for us to fix it?
Yeah.
Okay? I don't know that we'll fix the physiological components. We might. Sometimes they go right back.
I've been working on it, and it's improved greatly.
Oh, excellent. All right.
I'd like to totally get rid of it.
Cool. All right. So here's what I want you to do. Point where you feel the pain. Okay, you got it?
Sure, yeah.
Make sure. Now, by the way, just for those of you who are trained in pain control, I'm doing something here that instantly violates the first thing we're taught about pain control. You know what that is? I'm saying, where's the pain? There's a reason. And I'll get into the reason why as we go through the mechanics of this. You found it?
Yeah.
Excellent. Now close your eyes. Look at it with your inner eyes. As you look at the sensation, I want you to notice something. I want you to notice there's a color connected to that feeling. What's the color? First impression.
Like a maroon.
Excellent. I want you to reach in, grab all that maroon energy, take it out and hold it in your hands in front of you. Make sure you got it all, because sometimes that shit hides. Now you may also notice, as you dig that out, that there's a reason that feeling was there, and there's a feeling connected to that reason, and that might live in a different part of your body. And if that's true, we'll deal with that in a minute. But as you look at that energy in your hands, did the color change or stay the same? First impression.
Yeah, it's like a purple brown.
Excellent. Now as you look at it, notice it's spinning in a certain direction. What direction is it spinning?
This way.
Excellent. I want you to grab it with both of your hands, physically grab it, and reorient it so it's now rotating and moving the opposite of what it was. Double the spin, double the amplitude, double the force, double the magnitude. Keep doubling it until it takes on a life of its own, until it's impossible for it to go back the way it was. And when you know you've got it, slam it back into that spot. Notice the change. Notice it's gone.
Yeah, I don't feel it.
Big round of applause for the lady. You want to learn this? Yes, sir. Oh, I guess they're just going to line up. Come on up. One more time. All right, what you got, sir?
I have arthritis in my left hip.
In your left hip. How long you had that?
4 years.
Are you doing weird things that make it bad?
Not anymore.
Is it okay to get rid of it?
Yes, it is.
All right. So here's what I want you to point to where you feel the pain. Okay. Close your eyes. Now look at it with your inner eyes. On a scale of 0 to 10, rate the sensation.
Right now, about a 3.
About 3. Excellent. As you look at that feeling, I want you to notice there's a color associated with it. What's the color, first impression?
Kind of a puke green.
Puke green. All right. Reach in with both of your hands and physically take all that puke green energy out. Hold it in your hands in front of you. Make sure you get it all, because sometimes it hides, especially for arthritis. Got it all?
Yes.
Okay. Did the color change or stay the same, first impression?
Lighter green.
Okay. Excellent. Now, as you look at it, I want you to notice it's spinning in a certain direction. What direction is it spinning? Excellent. Physically grab it with both of your hands. Reorient it in time and space so that it's now moving the opposite of what it was. Double the spin. Double the amplitude. Double the force. Double the magnitude. Keep doubling it until it takes on a life of its own. When you know you've got it, slam it back into that spot. Notice the change. Notice it's gone. That's the look of a happy camper. How you feeling?
Great.
Good job. Give me a round of applause.
Thank you.
So you guys are going to have to really extend your pre-talk to do an hour session. Now, here's the cool part. We've been handling mostly physical things here. It works just as well for emotions. Okay? By the way, you may notice feelings come up. You may notice your body sweat a little bit. Yep. Let that happen. The body's recalibrating and rebooting itself. So sometimes they'll break out into sweat. Sometimes you'll see releasing gestures like yawning. They might tear up. First time I did this on a guy with a tumor, I'll tell you the genesis of this technique. I've only got an hour, so I have to, just force feed you. But if you guys want to know more, and they can find a room for us, we'll go deep dish on this. I also have some sheets I was going to hand out. I do not have enough. So just see me after this session, and we'll work something out where we can take this further. I'll take you as far as I can in the time I have. I'll show you where to go for more. First thing we need to understand is that none of our systems work alone. Okay? When we use language in our hypnotic processes, we get a certain level of change to the degree that we get absorption and focus from our client. That's all trance really is just a state of absorption and focus in the process. So the first thing we need to do is we need to understand how to create neurological absorption. We need to maximize how much of the brain and nervous system we're using at any one time. I open this with, what is energy? Can anybody, want to offer an idea about what is energy?
Everything.
Everything. That's a great unpractical explanation. But it's true. I mean, from a quantum physics level, but let's think on a more, when I get in a room full of people who are energy workers, and I ask them, well, what is energy? And they're like, yes.
Attention is energy.
It is a form of energy, absolutely. Yes.
Electrons.
Electrons? Okay.
Ionic or
Movement? It definitely moves, which is important, by the way.
How things are created in this right.
I'm sorry?
How things are created in this right.
Okay. Here's how I would like you to start thinking about energy for now. It's like an audio cassette. It's a medium that carries information. Okay? When we talk about the auric field, for example, how many people here know what the aura is? Or when I say aura, have an idea. How many people here think of it, when they think of the aura, they think of this beautiful, multicolored cloud of energy that floats around our body? Sometimes. I don't. And I'll tell you, by the way, I'm a certified pranic healer, pranic psychotherapist, licensed acupuncturist, Reiki master. I've been doing Reiki since the early 90s. I've been studying Kabbalah since the early 90s. Okay, before Madonna started studying Kabbalah. So I'm very much a prima donna. Gotcha! Okay, I've done Huna. I'm initiated into Hermetic sciences, and a lot of what I'm going to be telling you and how we synergize hypnotic technique is based on my studies in Hermetics. But I will tell you that no system in the body works best on its own. For example, your spine. Anybody here ever go fly fishing? Fly fishing, like, right? Do you know, mathematically, that by itself, the strength of your spine, the weight of a 2-pound fish at the end of a fly reel line is enough to crush your vertebrae? Mathematically. Your fascial system has a different level of strength, but that isn't even close to what our spines and our bodies are capable of in synergy. That word is going to be very, very important. Synergy. When we start interacting with the human being, you have to think of the human nervous system as a holographic information processing network. That's transmitting and transducing and processing information on multiple levels simultaneously but interactively and synergistically. So what do I mean by that? When I am talking and I'm doing this process, I'm interacting with her proprioceptive nervous system, her mirror neurons, her audio system, her visual, her external senses, and her internal senses. I'm lighting her brain up like a Christmas tree. Okay? The energy field around your body is not just some randomly floating mass of energetic particles and fields in space. It's highly organized. And it carries information. That information is imprinted in a code that is interpreted by your nervous system. Get it? Just like the data on an audio cassette. The fact that it's happening in multiple dimensions, not really relevant at this point, except that if we don't activate and work in all of those dimensions, we start to exponentially lose the power of what we're doing. The reason we can get those kind of changes that quick is because we're activating all the levels of the system at the same time. Okay? You can't divorce the languaging from the energetics, from the physical body, but there are certain key components that you have to have. Okay? You have to have them physically acting out what they're doing. You have to have them weaving back and forth between external reality and internal reality. You use a different set of brain circuits each time you activate another set of another pathway in your body. Okay? We foment, we create neurological absorption. So there are certain key phrases that you got to use with this. But I want you to start thinking of your auric field, the energy field around your body, like a virtual reality bubble like you see in Iron Man or Mission Impossible. You know when they're moving things around and opening things up, kind of like your iPhone. You ever notice we tend to make things out of technology that kind of mirror what our nervous system does anyway? So we can learn a lot about how structurally our nervous system works by understanding the technology we create. So the first thing I want you guys to do, we're going to take a bit of a little side break into the side road into the world of neuro-linguistic programming. I want you to think of something a time in your life when you felt absolutely wonderful. Good. Now, if you can imagine the picture of that experience somewhere in the space around you, reach out and put your hands smack dab in the middle of it. Excellent. Now, take both of your hands. Trace the edges of it. Notice how big that sucker is. Good. Grab the edges of it. Now, just like you open a window on your iPhone, first of all, notice where in your body those feelings start, and then go. Notice what happens when you make the feeling bigger, or when you make the picture bigger. What happens? Feeling gets bigger, huh? Shrink it down to half its size. Huh. What happened? You don't like that shit, huh? No. You have two types of coding systems in your body. Learned and archetypal. In other words, an example of that real quick. Archetypal systems. Actually, we'll start with personalized system or idiosyncratic systems. First thing I want you to do is think of something that happened a year ago. Let's make it something positive just for grins and giggles. All right? Reach out and touch it. Something that happened a year ago. Cool. Think about something that happened yesterday. Reach out and touch it. Notice they're in different locations. Right? Now, here's the weird thing. That's your personal Timeline. That's how your unconscious mind, your nervous system, codes the experience of time on a personal level. But you have another set of codes. You have an archetypal code as well, one that's pretty much hardwired into everyone in this room. Take an image of something. Well, we'll stay with the pleasant stuff for now. Reach out and grab that image that you loved so much, the one that made you put that big old smile on your face. Big old smile is a technical term, by the way. Right? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to just take and go and put it behind you. What the hell did happen? Put it. And that's what you did. What happened to the feeling? When you put it behind you, did anybody hear the feeling get stronger? Weirdo? No. Okay. So, but the it's fine. The vast majority of you, when you put it behind you, the shit went away. That's hardwired into the vast majority of people. Okay? So you have a code that's transmitted genetically. You also have a random set of codes that you learn that just happen to get installed in you at random and by default from the time we're conceived up through the time we depart this plane. Okay?
You want us to leave it there or bring it back?
Oh, you can bring it back. Just as an example. Now, here's what we're going to do. Everybody stand up. Put your stuff down. That picture that made you feel really good, grab the edges of it. Now, first thing I want you to know is the color in black and white, or is the picture in black and white or in color? Good. Is it moving or still? If it's still, make it move. If it's moving, turn up the sound. And then open that picture up nice and wide till it's as big and strong as you could ever want it to be. Excellent. Now, as you feel those feelings, notice there's a certain place in your body where that feeling emanates from, where it lives. I want you to point to it. Physically point to it. Close your inner eyes. Look at that feeling. Notice that there's a color connected to that feeling. You don't have to tell me, but answer the question in your mind. What's the color? First impression. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to reach in with both of your hands. Grab all of that color, all of that energy. Take it out. Hold it in your hands in front of you. Look at it with your inner eyes. The first thing I want you to notice is, did the color change or stay the same? Okay, excellent. Now, as you notice that color, I want you, by the way, make sure you get it all. See? Some of you had to go back and look, didn't you? See, I told you. There's a reason for everything. Now, as you look at that color, notice it's spinning in a certain direction. Since this is something we want more of, notice the direction is spinning. Grab it physically with both of your hands. Double the spin. Double the amplitude. Double it again. Double it over and over and over again. Keep doubling it until it takes on a life of its own, until it's impossible for it to go back the way it was. When you know you've got it, and only when you know you've got it, slam it back in. Enjoy the ride. I got a very happy room. Now it's time for the sales pitch. Okay. Have a seat. Fast? Everybody's pretty spunky now, right? First thing we want to talk about is how are these feelings organized? When I had you reach out and touch an experience, you all reached to a different place. And that's okay. That's perfect. But we all did the same thing with it. We made it bigger. When we changed the size and shape of whatever it was, the feelings intensified. Now, in NLP, we would call that submodalities, or working with your pictures. But we did one small tweak that's extraordinarily essential to doing energetic hypnosis this way. By the way, you were all in somnambulism when you did that. Okay? What are the characteristics of somnambulism? Level 5 and 6 trance phenomena. What is it? No. That's not somnambulism. What's the hallmark of somnambulism? Everybody know what a positive hallucination is? Level 5 trance phenomena, right? Negative hallucination? Level 6 trance phenomena, right? You went in and out of somnambulism like a rocket. Because you were taking shit being a technical term, secret hypnotic influence techniques. You thought. What did you do? You took a color that didn't exist, arguably, took it out of you, which means it's not there anymore, it's now here, and you manipulated it like it was real. I see that shit in stage shows all the time. But yet, you created a physiological change. Why? Because you created a state of neurological absorption and focus in what you were doing. You lit your brain up like a Christmas tree and gave it specific instructions through an interface that you created energetically. That information was carried energetically. I taught this as a purely hypnotic technique for many years, and then I realized it's hermetic. There's things going on here on multiple levels. And once I made that leap and I really understood it, then change started to become quantum. Okay? So whether you view the color that we're playing with as a hypnotic construct or a real legitimate phenomenon, which I do, by the way, it works. But what's going on there below the scenes is I'm creating all kinds of connections between my proprioceptive nervous system, my mirror neurons, and yours. When all these people came up, where was I focused? Was I in it with them? Right? How many people here saw me do the demo where I made the big guy kneel down against his will? You were there, right? Did you not see the intent?
I didn't see that one.
Oh. Who else saw it? Right? You guys want to explain what you saw yesterday? Loudly so they can hear you?
Oh, me.
Come out of trance, guys. Basically what I did was I showed a physical example of what we're doing on a non-visual level. One of the things that is missing from a lot of our hypnotic work, everybody here knows about rapport, right? About the concept of rapport. Rapport is this ability where I'm going to connect with you, and we're going to tune into your frequency, and we're going to equinola together. It's not that. It's not that. But there are techniques for creating that connection, that linking, so to speak, with another nervous system. Ericksonian hypnosis. Most hypnosis schools are going to teach you some level of rapport building techniques. What we're doing goes beyond that. Okay? It's important to have the person's frequency, but that's not really useful beyond a certain degree, because what we need to add to the system and what's missing from most of our techniques is a concept called amplitude. We need a push to the signal. Everybody here knows the difference between frequency and amplitude? Okay? When I'm getting rapport with you, I'm finding your frequency and we're kind of vibrating together, right? But if she's got a stronger state than I do, guess who wins? Change happens when you start to add amplitude to the system. How do we add amplitude? Neurological activity, energy. But we can't add our energy to her system unless we've connected with it. Right? So when I'm up here and I'm guiding people through these processes, I am linking my nervous system to theirs at what we call a coherency or entrainment level. It's deeper than rapport skills. Okay? I'm going to show you a video, if I have time, that will dramatically demonstrate the physical reality of what I'm talking about. Entrainment. If you go to a website called HeartMath.org, okay, a lot of what I do is based on that science. HeartMath.org. Okay? Your heart is the single largest rhythmic source in your body. The physics law of entrainment says that all molecular-based objects seek synchronicity. They seek to entrain with one another. Right? We all know the story that if we put a bunch of women in a house together, in 28 days, magic happens. And every male in the house flees. Because they're wrong. And it doesn't matter what they say. I know, I have 4 girls. They're still outnumbered. But anyway. But we also know the story. If we take a bunch of clocks with pendulums and we put them in the same building, or the same room, within a few hours, all of those pendulums are doing this. That's a lie. Takes about 4 minutes, not hours. Your nervous system is no different. Rapport can't not happen. But the difference when we try to force rapport versus when we allow rapport to happen as a consequence of physical laws has a much different quality to it. The more we try to force rapport, the more we tend to push ourselves out of it. We tend to block ourselves because there's a conscious mind interference that we're setting up. Does that make sense? When the systems actually do begin to entrain, there's a physical sensation in the body. Now, some people feel it in the abdomen, some people feel it in the solar plexus. For me, and I don't want to front load you because if we have time we'll practice this, but there's a flushing that comes up. And many times you'll actually, if you're standing next to someone, you'll visibly sigh. You'll be like, and you'll see them just kind of click, right? Those are symptoms that let you know physiological entrainment has taken place. When physiological entrainment has taken place, any feeling you generate in your body transmits to the other person. The magic of it is that because it's generated proprioceptively, through their peripheral nervous system, through their proprioceptive nervous system, through their mirror neurons, there's no conscious understanding of where the sensations came from. So they automatically assume they did it. Yes?
Can I ask real quickly? This is just listening to you is amazing. I have the opposite problem. I'm feeling dissolved.
Yep. I get that a lot.
Physical, not like if they get a nervous jump, I feel their nervous jump.
I'll give you a real quick fix. Anytime you feel a strong sensation come in, the first thing you need to do is just ask yourself one simple question. Is this my shit or somebody
I
else's?
always do that, and I know that now, and I even know who it is.
So once you do that, notice where the feeling lives. If it's something you want to get rid of, notice where the feeling lives. Notice the color.
Just do that.
Notice the spin.
Okay.
Spin it the other way, it goes away.
Do I help them, or is that just getting it out of me?
What do you want to do?
I want to help them if I can.
And have them spin it.
Then it will go out of me.
Yeah. Remember, if you're resonating and mirroring what's coming in, if you fix it at the source, you have to follow, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Right? I believe in being hermetically sealed. Right? No, but I get a lot of people who come in and they come into this world with their empathy switches turned way on and they don't know how to shut it off.
And I think women have a little more.
You're wired that way. Estrogen is the empathy hormone. Testosterone is the empathy killer. But here's the problem. The more empathy you have, the more of a doormat you become.
The stronger I become, though, the more I'm feeling out of this energy, the more I know it's not mine.
Yeah, good.
So that's been the thing that's been driving me, like, why is this happening?
So let's take this thing that's driving you and just put it behind you. How does it feel now?
I guess I'm kind of lying, I guess. I mean, I also like...
Oh, now, were you lying to me now or lying then?
I was lying before. Yeah, I kind of like
Okay. Oh, see? I know people who complain about shit they love to do. Richard Clark's one of them. You'll hear Richard complain all day long about you guys and all the problems he has to deal with. But when an event comes, he's the first one up. He's just one of those guys that loves to hate things, but he's good at it. So I love the guy. So anyway, here's my point. When I'm up here and I'm doing this process, and would you admit it's a pretty simple freaking process? I mean, to see it done, right? I haven't even started to unpack it. I'm just giving you the foundations upon which it's built. But you don't need to know how to build the car to drive the car. Thank God, right? But when I'm up here and I'm in it with them, the first thing I'm going for, really? Oh, man. Okay. All right. How many of us, I don't know. How many I'll tell you what, for those of you who want to learn more, as soon as my time is up, everybody stand up, clap really loud, and follow me into the lobby. And we'll find some place and hang out. Just because I love people. People need to be doing this. Would you agree? Yeah. All right. I mean, when EFT first came out, they gave it to the world, and everybody went nuts. This blows EFT out of the water. All right, because it doesn't. I mean, you can get more subtle with it. Okay? So the first thing we need to understand is that the energy field around our body is highly organized. When I'm doing this process, it's not just what you're seeing. There's a deep pre-conscious connection going on here that I am pushing my neurological energy through. So I'm literally synergizing with her system and adding my own amplitude, my own force of what I'm doing to hers. Now, she's already in a profound state of trance and neurological arousal. She's manipulating her energies. She's manipulating every level of her body and mind. Notice I have her going inside and outside, inside and outside. I ask questions about the construct so that she has to actually explore it. We're lighting that brain up like a Christmas tree. Okay? But remember, the energy encoded in the information encoded in your energy field must be in a language that your nervous system can interpret. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. There would be no way energy could affect us. Here's the next part of that. If there's a code that is carried in that energy field that the nervous system must be able to interpret, then it has a structure. If we can change the structure, we change the message. We change the expression. The difference here is that we are combining modalities. We are moving them from, we're not just doing this in our heads. In my system, we call it somatic bridging. We're creating a physical bridge between what we're doing cognitively and imaginatively with what we're doing physically. We're creating a different focus attention from the external environment to the internal environment, and we're evaluating. Think about it. Did the color change or stay the same? That's evaluating. That means your critical factor's involved too. How the hell did that happen? Right? It's the synergy of all the systems that create the change that fast. Because what you've done is when you go from a feeling to a color, the cortexes in the brain overlap by as much as 40%. So you're already going to get some level of interaction. But now when I physically take it out and I look at it, I'm physically doing something. So not only is all of my attention going to a specific area, all of my body parts, all of the parts of my brain that control all of these different faculties are targeting that area, and I'm manipulating the information. Your nervous system cannot code for an experience without automatically, at the most basic level, create the code for its opposite. I hope so. Your nervous system cannot create an experience or read a code or encode for an experience without automatically coding for its opposite.
Is that because of polarity?
It's the law of yin and yang.
Yeah.
If I have a code in a direction for pleasure, then by default I must have a direction for pain. And the opposite is true. Now, rewind real quick. What was the languaging that I used? At the very beginning, when I had him take it out, I had him notice the spin. What did I have him do next?
Grab it.
Physically grab it. Right? Your nervous system doesn't make a distinction between me picking up a can of Rockstar and guzzling it, because you are what you drink. And the imagining. It doesn't make that distinction. But the more engrossed, the more I vivify what I'm doing, the more I act it out. You want to get really good at this, take an acting class. Actors are the best hypnotists on the planet. Their whole craft is designed to do one thing, same as you, to suck you out of your reality and way into theirs. But they use all of their body. They use all of their tools. And they create magic. So do you. Okay? So when you're doing this, the language that I use is what we call in NLP, in Ericksonian hypnosis, a scope ambiguity. Reach out, notice the direction it's spinning. Grab it. Reorient it so it's the opposite of what it was. Scope ambiguity. Because if I'm coding in one direction and I want the opposite, Remember, the code that your nervous system uses to create experience is not words. It's size, shape, location, direction, tone. That's the language of magic, by the way. Astrally speaking, we all, if you start thinking in terms of different planes, all the beings on the astral plane speak the same language, the language of the five senses. Movies, pictures, everything else is just translation. Okay? It's archetypal within us. We start to get all of these things synergized, poof. Right? But you have to create that somatic bridge. You have to get that neurological absorption and focus. You have to understand that for everything that we do has a code to it. The more elements of that code we activate. It's called the law of correspondence in Hermetic science, by the way. The law of correspondence. It's one of the building blocks of Chinese medicine. Okay? And in most Qigong disciplines, energetic disciplines, there's some reference to it. I'm just making it very, very obvious. But modern neuroscience is also telling us that when I'm here and I create that physics principle of entrainment, the system's synchronized. When I start, was I acting out a lot of what I wanted her to do or him to do? Guess what else I'm doing? I'm activating her mirror neurons. Her mirror neurons. If you don't know what mirror neurons are, look them up on the internet. There's a ton of studies on it. They are the physiological foundation for empathic communication and intuitive learning. Okay? From a neuroscience perspective, I'm telling her system exactly what I want it to do because I'm doing it. Or his system exactly what to do because I'm doing it too. So I'm adding all the things I'm vivifying in myself to the energy circulating through his system, and I'm overriding. I'm creating such a state of focus, absorption, and neurological arousal that whatever factors they have just blow out. Yeah?
You were lighting up so much of the brain. I mean, from the prefrontal cortex that decides why it wants to do something and make an executive plan for it, to the primary motor cortex that tells this arm to do something, and of course the contralateral side too, plus all the inner neurons that connect all of those nuclei in the brain. It's all the pathways and the cortices all working synergistically, and it's like the whole brain is on the same path to try to accomplish something. That's incredible.
And what did that feel like?
It felt like everything was on, and it all worked, and there's nothing to stand in the way of it. You know, it's like flood water coming through a narrow river channel, like a flash flood coming through. Try and stop that.
I cheat. And you've all learned how to do it. Yes? Sir.
On the energy, I was taught to put it into the meridian, and so it doesn't go in K-wampus or sideways.
Not necessary with this.
Doesn't make any difference?
No. And the reason for that is because, again, when you're thinking in terms of meridians, you're thinking with one small tiny part of the system. All right? I'm an acupuncturist. I know how this shit works. All right? You have to think about, sorry? Shit being a technical term. Remember, we as a race, as a culture, with exceptions, there's exceptions that prove every rule, but one of the things that we tend to do, especially in this society, is we continually separate things out. We have quantum physicists, astrophysicists, biophysicists, right? And after a certain level, they're going in different directions. They specialize. We continually try to isolate things. But our system doesn't work best in isolation. Many of us, for the past couple decades, have been starting to come back to this holistic understanding. But it goes deeper than that. When you start adding these things back together, you get a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. Okay? He did a great I could never explain it that eloquently. That was amazing. Thank you. Give him a big round of applause. I'll give you your check later. But one of the things we need to understand is that the system has a way of organizing itself. If we think of energy as just random rivers flowing around, that's one model and it works. takes longer. But when we think of a system as a highly integrated, highly organized, coded system, I get it. We can change things because the system, remember, what is, from an acupuncture perspective, what is pain in the body? Block chi means energy stop moving, right? Which means it's going this direction and it's stopped. So if I take it the other way, the block goes away, doesn't it? So from an acupuncture perspective, we're still fixing it, right? But on a more technical level, we're giving the system a specific set of instructions. Whereas in an acupuncture system, we're basically poking a hole in the dam and letting the water run through many times. Depending, I'm oversimplifying. We're telling the entire system, hey, this is where there's a code here, change it to this, make it happen. And the system will rebalance. That's why when he started going through, and he came to me for a physical problem, but you had an emotional shift, didn't you?
Sure it did.
Because, yes,
I'm sorry, this is Tony. If it's something that is throughout the whole system, I'm just trying to figure out how to make this happen if the pain is everywhere. Or the
excellent question. When you're dealing with something that's really, really chronic, I have to do this with cancer. I don't know if I have time, but I have to do this with cancer patients. But anything with a chronic illness. Going back to the explanation I was giving you, remember that every issue that we deal with has three components. It has a somatic component, it has an energetic component, and it has an emotional component. Okay? This is a feedback loop. Sometimes the block is in the soma, the body. We go to a medical doctor, they give us a shot, they give us a drug, it goes away. An injury, they put a cast on it, it fixes, it heals. Great. But sometimes that doesn't resolve it. So we go, the next step we go to somebody who deals with energy. Acupuncturist, naturalist, naturopath, right? Homeopath. And sometimes it goes away and sometimes it doesn't. And if you ask the energy healers about why the doctor couldn't fix them, they'll say, well, the doctors only treat the symptom. Right? Because it's the energetic imbalance that's making the problem happen. Well, guess what? Acupuncture only treats the symptom too. You know why? Because if there's an energetic imbalance, what the hell caused it? This is why many times you go to an acupuncturist, they put the needles in, the pain goes away. They balance the energetics of the body. And then it comes back. Why? You didn't plug the river. Right? Now, TCM model also says that emotional problems can have an energetic cause, and they can also have a physical cause. You know, if you have chronic tension or chronic anger, acupuncturist is going to go and treat your liver. Right? Because they understand correspondence and analogy. Everything you deal with has a physical component, an energetic component, and an emotional component. You just got to figure out where the sticking point is and apply the proper tool. Make sense?
So you treat them simultaneously, you're not looking at it that one first, that one.
It's a feedback loop. Any change that you, if you're sick or ill, right, and I need to give you medicine, I can inject that medicine into your arm, and it'll get where it needs to go. Let's say I'm having liver problems. I can inject it into the arm. I can also inject it into the butt. I can inject it right into the liver. I can inject it right into the heart. And they'll all get to the liver. What's the difference?
Proximity to the liver.
Time. Time. How long does it take to feed through the system? But what if we could hit them all simultaneously?
Just saying.
Just saying. All right, I got to finish now, but if, yes. Let's get out of here first and we'll do it then. Okay? Thank you.